Hello everyone, and welcome to this Microsoft Build 2022 on-demand session. My name is David Trigano. I'm a program manager in the Microsoft Defender for Cloud product group of Microsoft. My team and I work on protecting cloud databases. In this session, we are going to see how Microsoft Defender for Cloud provides a comprehensive solution that protects your databases hosted inside and outside of Azure against threats and malicious activities. We will start this session with an overview of the security challenges affecting databases today and the impact threats and data breaches can have for an organization. Then we will have a review about Microsoft Defender for Cloud. And finally, we will focus on the capabilities offered by Microsoft Defender for Cloud when it comes to detect vulnerabilities, misconfigurations, and malicious activities on databases. Let's start with the security challenges that are affecting databases today. As we all know, data is everywhere. Organizations store their most critical data in databases, making them an obvious target for attackers. According to multiple researchers and reports, visibility is the top priority for organizations when it comes to security and compliance. The recent increase in numbers of attacks and data breaches force security administrators to protect their data stores and detect any potential misconfiguration or vulnerability that could allow a future hole and lead to a data breach. In 2021, the average cost of a data breach was $4.24 million. Finally, more and more organizations are adopting a multi-cloud strategy which complexify their security posture management and data governance. Protecting data store has never been so complicated. Now that we understand the challenges, let's see what are the common ways attackers use to gain access to your data. While being one of the oldest and most popular attacks, SQL injection is, unfortunately, an attack that organizations are still being vulnerable to. The technique is always the same. Attackers enter malicious code into user input variables, for example, a search field, a login field, or even a URL that are later passed to an instance of SQL Server for parsing and execution. Attackers can retrieve all the user's data present in the database, such as user details, credit card information, social security number, and can also gain access to protected areas like the administrator portal. It is also possible to delete the protected area like the administrator portal and many other user data from the table. You have plenty of ways to protect your application against SQL injections, and we have documentations on Microsoft that provides you a lot of information about the techniques that are available and the available capabilities we offered you for this. Assuming your application is well coded and configured, if your SQL Server is publicly accessible to the internet with the default port, attackers can brute force it. In this case, we have seen multiple attacks where attackers use a dictionary of commonly used local user with a dictionary of commonly used password. This combination allows them to breach weak users and gain access to the database, usually with high privilege accounts. Finally, malicious user can use a breached identity that has access to your environment and by doing lateral movements, get access to a database with sensitive information. Here we just saw what are the common ways attackers leverage to gain access to your data. But in fact, not only the data. I would like to tell you a secret. Attackers are not looking for your data anymore. Well, they're not always looking for your data. We have seen more and more threats where attackers gain access to the SQL servers and use the underlying compute to run crypto miners. When we talk about brute force, I forgot to mention something. When attackers are connected to a database with a user that has high privileges, they can hijack any capability initially offered by a feature in SQL Server called XP Commensal. XP Commensal allows SQL administrators to run scripts on the underlying operating system for backups or any other legit actions. Attackers are using this to run malicious scripts such as crypto miners or ransomware. These are some global campaigns targeting SQL workloads that were recently discovered by cybersecurity vendors and partners. I invite you to search for these campaigns that you see on your screen to understand the consequence and the daily number of affected resources and organization. What is interesting here is that the attackers behind these campaigns are using the same patterns over and over again. They usually scan SQL Server endpoints that are publicly accessible via the default SQL port, which is 1433. Then they try to identify weak users, and when they successfully brute force one of them, they use XP command shell to run crypto miners. Now the question is, what Microsoft do to help organizations against these threats on databases? And the answer is super simple: Microsoft Defender for Cloud. In a nutshell, Microsoft Defender for Cloud is a solution for cloud security posture management and cloud workload protection that finds weak spots across your cloud configuration, helps strengthen the overall security posture of your environment, and can protect workloads across multi-cloud and hybrid environment for evolving threats. It supports multi-cloud and hybrid environment and integrates with the range of products to enable seamless response and automation for your SecOps team. Microsoft Defender for Cloud is uniquely positioned to provide a complete solution and protection in the cloud across your multiple cloud and on-prem assets. Microsoft Defender for Cloud is also built in within Azure, allowing you to take advantage of the security capabilities without any deployment and integrate the security in the resource provisioning process. Of course, Microsoft Defender for Cloud provides the same capabilities for AWS, GCP, and your on-prem resources, such as advanced threat protection and protection capabilities and easy remediation and automation to improve your multi-cloud security posture. Let's talk about Cloud Security Posture Management, also called CSPM, that helps you to harden your workloads using security recommendations. Microsoft Defender for Cloud provides a single inventory view of all monitored cloud workloads across Azure, AWS, GCP, and your on-premise environment. It also scans workloads to identify vulnerabilities and misconfigurations, provide clear and actionable remediation steps, and quick fixes for fast and at-scale remediation. Finally, you can easily generate compliance status reports and stream your security posture to your tool of choice. When it comes to remediations, we understand that prioritization can be a concern when it comes to secure multiple resources in multiple environments. Therefore, we recently announced a unique collaboration between Microsoft Defender for Cloud and Azure Purview, allowing security administrators to prioritize security actions on their security cloud data resources. Azure Purview is a fully managed unified data governance solution that helps organizations to discover, scan, and classify their on-premise, multi-cloud, and software as a service data. Customers that classify their resources with Azure Purview can take advantage of the classification metadata in Microsoft Defender for Cloud to prioritize their sensitive resources. With this collaboration, you can filter resources with sensitive information in the inventory view and see unhealthy resources in security recommendations now sorted according to their sensitivity level. Also, Microsoft Defender for Cloud provides a set of advanced threat protection capabilities to protect your cloud workload protection, also called CWP. You can easily monitor activities across your workloads, investigate security alerts or suspicious events, and of course, take advantage of our collaboration with Azure Purview to prioritize your investigation on alerts affecting sensitive resources to respond to existing threats. Of course, Microsoft Defender for Cloud provides tools to automatically integrate these alerts with our built-in SIEM called Microsoft Sentinel, or you can also decide to use the SIEM of your choice. Let me show you how it works. So here I am on my Microsoft Azure portal. I can search here Microsoft Defender for Cloud, and automatically here I can have an overview of my security posture, the regulatory compliance, all the benchmarks that I have within Microsoft Defender for Cloud, workload protections, firewall manager, my inventory, and information protection, which is the integration we recently released with Azure Purview. Here I can see all the recommendations I have alongside the secure score, which is a representation of how secure my environment is right now against Microsoft best practices. And here, sorted with controls, I have the visibility on around all the recommendations and best practices that are built by Microsoft on all my resources, which can be Azure, AWS, and GCP. Of course, I have another pivot, another view, which is the inventory, where here I can have access on all the resources I actually manage within my environment. As you can see here, I have close to 4,000 resources. And the main questions customers have today is, how do I prioritize those resources? And as I said before, we integrated Azure Purview classification into Microsoft Defender for Cloud, allowing you to filter those 4,000 resources to see only resources that contain sensitive information. By adding a new filter here, removing resources that were unclassified, you can see how quickly I start with 4,000 resources, and I now have only 80 resources that I should focus on that contain sensitive information. Here I have a SQL server called Ninja SQL that contains some secret information. Let's see what this SQL is about. So here you see that I have some remediation and some recommendations that I should remediate. Some of them are unhealthy, some of them are healthy, some of them high, medium, and low. Here I have access to all the information that were found by Azure Purview, such as the labels and the classification, person name, credit card number, debit card number, just to name a few. Here I have access to the Purview catalog. And if I want, I can continue my journey into the data classification and the data governance to see who started this scan, when the scan came, and what was the last time someone scanned that resource, just to name a few actions that you can do with Azure Purview. Or you can decide to come back to this resource and check what are the alerts that are affecting this resource actually. And here you see that I have some brute force happening on this SQL server here. And if you remember on the previous page, I had access to all the classification that were found by Azure Purview, which is also the same here. So we are offering you the same level of details, regardless of it is on the CSPM side or the CWP side. And if we go back here, you see you have a page called Security Alerts, where you can see all the alerts that are actually affecting your environment. So here you can see similar, I have 7,600 alerts, active alerts on my subscriptions. And if I want to focus or if I want to prioritize and investigate alerts that are affecting sensitive resources, I can do very, very similar things that I was able to do in the inventory. And here I can just remove the alerts that are targeting resources that are not sensitive. And here you can see that I now have only 36 active alerts that I should focus on. Of course, you don't have to wait for an alert to come before to start investigating and start to create automated pipeline. You can generate sample alerts here by hitting sample alerts in the security alerts. And you just have to select the resource type where you want Microsoft Defender for Cloud to generate you alerts, and automatically Microsoft Defender for Cloud will generate you alerts on this particular resource type. And here, Microsoft Defender for Cloud, as long as you click on Create Sample Alerts, will generate sample alerts for you so you can create your rule before something bad happens within your environment. Now that we understand what is Microsoft Defender for Cloud and how it provides you CSPM for cloud security posture management and CWP for cloud workload protection capabilities, let's focus on how you can protect your databases everywhere. To protect databases with security posture management and allow timely responses to threats, we created a framework composed with 3 major milestones: enable, detect, and respond. We believe that starting to protect databases should be an easy step, and so we took advantage of the Microsoft Defender for Cloud platform and provided an experience that allows you to enable the entire database's estate protection in one click. And I will demonstrate you that in a minute. Right after you enable the database's protection, Microsoft Defender for Cloud will start assessing your workloads to find potential misconfigurations and vulnerabilities alongside malicious activities. These findings are natively integrated in Microsoft Defender for Cloud as security alerts and security recommendations, allowing you to respond accordingly. As I said earlier, you can take advantage of the built-in integrations with Microsoft Sentinel and Azure Purview to flow the alerts and prioritize security actions. These are the resources Microsoft Defender for Cloud protects when it comes to databases. It protects your managed SQL resources, such as Azure SQL Database, Azure SQL Managed Instance, Azure SQL Elastic Pools, and of course, dedicated SQL pool in Azure Synapse. SQL Server on machine are also protected, the ones that run on-prem, those using Azure Arc-enabled SQL Server, SQL Server hosted on Azure SQL Virtual Machine, and more globally, any SQL Server hosted on any other cloud. We are also protecting managed OSS DB, such as Azure Database for MariaDB, MySQL, and PostgreSQL. Finally, we are happy to announce that we recently extended our security capabilities for Azure Cosmos DB, providing security recommendations and threat protection for the fully managed NoSQL database for modern apps development. When SQL servers are hosted outside of Azure, it can be hard to discover and protect them at scale. Therefore, we are extremely excited to announce a new automated protection enablement for SQL Server hosted in AWS EC2. This new capability allows you to automatically onboard your SQL Server hosted in AWS EC2 using the power of Azure Arc-enabled SQL Server and take advantage of every existing capability offered in Microsoft Defender for Cloud for existing and newly created SQL Server in your AWS environment. As mentioned earlier, enabling databases protection has never been so easy. In Microsoft Defender for Cloud, select your environment settings and turn databases protection to on. We'll also provide the capability to granularly decide which protection plan you want to enable. Security recommendations and alerts can be manipulated at two different levels according to the security admin and the resourcing, allowing the security admin and the resource owner to act accordingly. First, the centralized state view built for the security admin. Here you can view the entire database's state to get context for the entire environment security posture. Also, the single SQL workload view built for the resource owner and the database owner. This view provides a resource level focused recommendations and alerts to get the resource context and fix configurations and misconfigurations. Here is the list of databases protection detections that are divided into three categories. The first category is query analysis with SQL injection, data exfiltration, and many more. The second one is threat intelligence with suspicious access and many anomalies detectors. And finally, brute force detection with multiple detectors, giving you more context about the potential threats and how to act accordingly. Let me show you how it works. So here again on Microsoft Defender for Cloud, under management, I have environment settings. I can select one of the subscriptions I have access to and very, very easily enable the database's protection. So here I have a CyberSec SOC subscription. Here you see I have database, and all of my databases are actually protected by Microsoft Defender for Cloud, and I can very, very easily decide to disable one of these protection. Of course, this is not something Microsoft recommend, but you may have some cases where you want to disable, for example, Azure Cosmos DB because this is in preview, or you may want to disable SQL Server on machine for any reason. And we give you that capability. Now that you have all the information on how to protect your database workloads anywhere, you can start using our trial at aka.ms/Defender for Cloud trial and leverage our community on github.com/Azure/Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Thank you for your time, and I wish you an excellent Microsoft Build 2022.